But it is to say that if our team is going to be effective, if we're going to achieve the results that we're looking for, then you need to be able to do what you do, and I need to be able to do what I do at an extremely high level. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I help aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. And I believe that you can't get instructional leadership right if you don't lead people and the organization well. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to let you know about my latest book, Beyond the Classroom, helping aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. Now, this book is going to help you navigate the learning curve as you transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader, manage your busy schedule and reclaim your time to effectively be an instructional leader, take a holistic approach towards school leadership, and increase your instructional impact by fostering a school culture of feedback and coaching. So if you are an aspiring school leader looking to be an effective practitioner, head over to my website and grab your copy today. Today we're going to talk about leading in your lane. Leading in your lane. And I think this is an extremely important topic as it relates to you making that transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader. Because what you'll notice is when you get into that role of school leader, specifically, right, that initial role, what happens is you'll notice that you are trying to figure out what specific skill sets that you have that you're going to be able to bring to the table, right? And it's really kind of like this experiential phase of like, I do this well, I do that well, like, what do I do to be best utilized? And although your supervisor, your director is going to give you an outline of responsibility, right? These are the things that you are responsible for. However, there's going to also be room for you to discover what your expertise is and then operate within that. And we know that the most effective teams, because you are a part of a team, the most effective teams, the most impactful teams, the most influential teams are the ones where everyone knows their role and they stay in it and they perfect what they do, right? I'm thinking of the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc and Dennis Rodman, right? The legendary Chicago Bulls with Phil Jackson coaching. They had an amazing team. Why? Because everyone knew their role and they stayed in their lane. They perfected exactly what it is that they do well, or they did well. And by them doing that, they ultimately contributed to a successful and one of the most legendary basketball teams of all time. Same thing in present day. Well, not necessarily in present day, right? A few years ago, with the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, right? We're talking about some of the best players of all time. We're talking about one of the greatest basketball teams of all time. Why? Because everyone knew their role, they perfected it, and they stayed in their lane. And that's not to say that Steph Curry can't also do what Klay Thompson does, and that there are areas of Klay Thompson's game where he couldn't do something that's very similar to what Steph Curry does. But it is to say that if our team is going to be effective, if we're going to achieve the results that we're looking for, then you need to be able to do what you do, and I need to be able to do what I do at an extremely high level. And the only way that the team is going to be effective is if we focus in and lock in on what we do well, because what I do well makes you better, and vice versa. And when you become a school leader, you are a part of a team that is responsible for increasing student achievement. You want to be the best instructional leader that you can possibly be. And how do you do that? That means that, number one, you're clear about your role and your expertise. And as I mentioned previously in this video, right, you're really trying to figure out what you're best at and what your role is and what it entails. and what your expertise is going to be. And so I remember in my first year as a school leader, that's one of the things that I had to take time to discover. I had to take time to myself to really think about, okay, what is it that I'm actually good at within the current role and responsibility that I have? And when I did that, that's when I started to become better, because there was a period of time where I'm like, okay, well, I feel like I could do more. I feel like I should be doing this. I feel like I should be doing that. Well, this person can also do what I'm doing, and they might be a little bit better at it. But again, you have to have a level of self-awareness to understand that everybody has a role and you need to stay in your lane. Number two, you also, again, you need to know who you are at the foundation and core, right? Because what can easily happen is this is a part of your role, right? Like you're given a set of responsibilities as it relates to your role, but there might be somebody else that does it maybe a little bit better, or there's an aspect of your role that they do a little bit better than you. And so there could be a little ego that starts to creep in, right? And you have to know yourself enough to know that you were called to be in this position for a reason, and that you have a specific skill set that's going to ultimately add to the end goal. You cannot get so caught up in your ego, so caught up in what everybody else is doing, that you forget about the goal. Because the goal is to make sure that students are the best that they can be. The goal is not necessarily to get the credit for the wins and losses. The goal is to get the credit as it relates to the collective, right? The collective credit, the collective responsibility and efficacy that we get from achieving our goal. This is about us. It's not about you, and it's not about me. We need to figure out what is going to be best for students. And the way that you do that is by knowing who you are, staying in your lane, and getting help in the areas where you might need a little bit more support. We don't know everything, right? Just because you step into a leadership role, despite what other people may think, we don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. But you have to have enough humility to know who you are and know the areas where you need support. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to let you know about my latest book, Beyond the Classroom, helping aspiring school leaders navigate interpersonal and organizational complexities for greater instructional impact. Now, this book is going to help you navigate the learning curve as you transition from being a classroom teacher to a school leader, manage your busy schedule and reclaim your time to effectively be an instructional leader, take a holistic approach towards school leadership, and increase your instructional impact by fostering a school culture of feedback and coaching. So if you are an aspiring school leader looking to be an effective practitioner, head over to my website and grab your copy today. And lastly, you have to be able to reflect and adapt. Reflect and adapt. Leadership is about learning. This is a learning process. This is about figuring out who you are, reflecting and adapting in areas where you need additional support, right? Areas where you need help. Areas where you're finding like, I thought that I knew X, Y, and Z, but I actually don't. Right? And that doesn't mean that you're incompetent. It means that you have room to grow in this particular area, because we all do. We all do. And the thing about teams and the thing about being a part of a team is you have people who can pick you up in areas where you are down. You have people who can demonstrate a level of expertise and help you get to where you need to be as a leader. But you have to be humble, and you have to understand that this is not about ego. This is about you staying in your lane, not trying to cross over to what other people are doing, and vice versa. Get the help where you need it and relinquish responsibilities in areas where other people might be best suited. And so again, the reason why I wanted to talk about leading in your lane is because there is a tendency when you elevate to being a school leader, there's a tendency to try to figure out like, what am I best at? And there could be a tendency to try to do so many things that you forget that you have a primary responsibility. And that is to do what it is your supervisor, your director is asking you to do, because they understand that there is an overall goal here. And if everybody sticks to their lane, stays in their lane, leads in their lane, then we ultimately reach our goal and our mission of helping students be the best that they can possibly be. So remember, lead in your lane. Get the support that you need. Be clear about your role and expertise. Know who you are and be able to reflect and adapt to grow into the leader that you are striving to be. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, share it with somebody else. I hope that it added value. Make sure that you subscribe and share with somebody else so that we can continue to impact as many people as possible. As always, have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.